Over the weekend, we caught up with Arik Trump, son of the former president and executive vice president of the Trump Organization, while at the Reawaken America tour in Salem, Oregon. Arik touched upon why his father was able to maintain stability around the world during his time as president, all the while enduring constant fire from the press and his political adversaries back home. Here's what he had to say.
Arik Trump, thank you so much for joining us on the Capitol Report.
It's good to be with you guys.
Arik, I want to ask you, why do you think that your father was able to maintain order during his time as president with all of these dictators around the world?
Yeah, it's very simple. It's called strength. People respected him. They respected the United States of America. They respected our military. They knew he was unconventional. They knew he was a little bit unpredictable. And he wanted them to know that. You know, when he started taking out guys like Soleimani, right? Reaper drones and, all of a sudden bad guys start disappearing around the world. I think that sent a very big signal to a lot of people, which is don't mess with the United States of America, don't mess with their military, don't mess with, with Trump. He's willing to do this. Same thing with ISIS. I mean, they had a big terrorist camp on the top of a massive mountain. You'll remember this very well. He flies over, drops a Moab bomb on, and guess what? Those terrorists don't exist anymore. People knew that, don't mess with him. He'll use the strength of the United States. At the same time, he was a guy who didn't want to go to war. And so it really was kind of that peace through strength doctrine that we always talk about.
Now, Arik, I want to ask you, recently you probably have noticed that we're tapping into America's emergency oil reserves with an emphasis on emergency. What is your take on that?
Well, my take on it is the strategic petroleum reserves, which is what it's called. I mean, they're really meant for a catastrophe, a world war where you need it. You need it for ships, you need it for your military, you need it for a lot of other things. They were, drastically depleted when my father was in office. Oil was at the cheapest prices in the history of the country, and so he took that opportunity to refill the strategic reserves. Now they just want to give stimulus out, so they want to drain those reserves only because they're not doing the Keystone XL pipeline. They're not drilling on federal lands. They've made it more difficult to actually extract oil and gas and all the other things that we know right now. So you're dipping into your strategic, reserves that are meant for kind of unthinkable times. That's why they were built, to try and cheapen oil and gas prices because of failed policies that this administration has put in. That's not the point of them. And by the way, it hardly makes a dent in the actual amount of oil that this country uses on a daily basis. And so it's disappointing. It shouldn't have happened. He should have kept building the pipeline. Keystone XL pipeline should have been built. And all his disastrous policies shouldn't be put in place, and you wouldn't have needed to actually tap into them. And I wish that's where we would have been.
So we've recently seen Hillary Clinton in her campaign. It's come to light that she spied on your father when he was in the White House. And does this raise deeper concerns about the deep state and potentially what she may have created as her time as Secretary of State?
I was the guy that got emails from the Washington Post and the New York Times when somebody planted out that the FBI was investigating Trump because they had a secret server with Trump Tower, between Trump Tower and Russia, which never existed. I mean, her people who were paid on her payroll went into the FBI, lied to the FBI, then went and planted that to the mainstream media in this country, which started the whole Russia collusion nonsense, which wasted literally 3 years of everybody's time. The media's time was a huge distraction for this country.
Arik, you mentioned the media. How damaged do you think the media is right now?
Yeah. Well, based on their approval ratings, really damaged because they've got a 7% approval rating in this country. It's horrible. It's people don't trust them anymore. If I did 1/100th of what Hunter Biden did, I'd be in jail for the rest of my life. Yet the mainstream media hasn't mentioned Hunter Biden's name in 258 days. There's a serious problem with that, right? I mean, they let him skirt by. They carry Joe Biden's water. Remember, you don't think they would have been trying to institute, Article 25 of the Constitution had my father said 1/100th of the stupid things, frankly, that Biden said? Of course they would have. But again, they're on that side, and they'll do anything to cover up for him and let him get away with just about anything under the sun. You don't have equal scales of justice in this country. You don't have equal media coverage. The media is owned. I mean, they are the propaganda wing of the left-wing party. And I think that's become very clear to all Americans.
Arik Trump, thank you.
Thank you very much.